Ladies and gentlemen, picture a new technology utilizing biometric tools where you can actually scan a room filled with people. Understand the connections you have already within your network. Take a look at how they view the world. Understand their perspective, their goals, what their business does, and what they care about. And wow, it looks like we have a lot of friends in common. This technology is not that far away, my friends. There's a lot of things coming up in social media in the future. The thing is, a lot of this is already here right now. What we're going to be talking about today is how to take your business to a different level. We're going to talk about B2C and B2B in a whole different way. We're going to talk about how social media helps your business. HELPS is my acronym for humanize, engage, listen, promote, and sell using new media. So in order to take a look into what's happening with social media in the future, I think it's going to be important for us to take just a minute and look into social media of the past. I mean, for thousands of years, mankind has used any type of media to be social, whether it was the Egyptians' hieroglyphic tablets or the Polaroid camera or bringing things out from the Olympic Games through homing pigeons. People have desired to have relationships and connect with others. This is social media. I wasn't around for any of this, so it's all speculation and stuff I got from Wikipedia, so let's skip forward. Now, in the past 160 years, I was only around for 40 of that, by the way, we had everything from the telegraph. And when Samuel Morse first invented the telegraph to give us a means of communication, it took many years to even get telegraph stations to pick up on this concept. Just like it's taken businesses many years to catch on that Twitter, Facebook, and other new media methodologies are necessary to get our message in front of our prospects, our customers, other businesses we're reaching out to. It's taken some time. Now, wireless radio allowed us to hear things from a far distance away. We had the Polaroid that allowed you to actually take that feeling and convey it to others in a small, immediate gratification package. Kind of like we're able to do now with our camera phones and everything else. But over here, you remember 1969? I don't remember it much. I was born that year. But ARPANET came out, and it was the first rudimentary form of the internet. IBM introduced the PC a decade later, and in the 80s was the proliferation of commercial online services and bulletin board systems. My dad's friend, Ward Christensen, invented the bulletin board system in 1977, and this was one of the first hobbyist methods for actually connecting with others. By 1984, I built my own bulletin board system. That's me there when I had a lot more hair, and that's my little brother Rob, who's currently serving the United States Army, leaving for Afghanistan in a couple of months, and hopefully be sending me some tweets from there whenever possible. We ran this BBS in 1984. This was a true social network, although rudimentary compared to all the awesome technologies we have today. My social network allowed people to dial in from their computers all over the world into mine. We had chat sessions, we exchanged files, but most importantly, we had an offline meetup component. When I was 14 and it was difficult to get information about my Commodore computer that I loved so much, this BBS allowed me to connect with others. It was an absolute blast. I mean, as far as my history in social media, I guess it started off in the early 70s. My father was with IBM, and that's an actual magnetic reel in 1972. By the 80s was my bulletin board system that had this physical meetup component. See, there in 1984, the best part about this, folks, is it was very social. We look now at things such as social bookmarking. Well, back then, one of my goals was to let everybody I could find know about other people running bulletin board systems. It was a very neat community of people who like to share, like to connect, like to build relationships, and like to meet others, kind of like what we do now. Back in the 90s, I got recognized in the Chicago Sun-Times and Tribune and other media for using technology to help connect others. My business, Regillo Consulting, has been around since 1991 with the mission of enhancing communications, making technology work for you, not the other way around. And although we've morphed and changed over the years, our dream and our vision has stayed the same. And in the past couple of years, as clientele have reached out and said, we really need your help, We really need your helps. Humanize, engage, listen, promote, and sell. And I needed to reorg my corporation. I have sourced every single person in my company through social media, handpicked. And the relationships have shined through. When I reached out to people like Eloy Claudio, the best artist I'd ever had the chance to work with, or Rick Ramirez with video, or other people who I admired and just was able to have direct contact to and say, you know what, I want you to be part of my team, and they said, I'd be glad to be part of your team. I like what you're doing. It's been a lot of fun. 2000, I got certified by a little company called Microsoft to be a systems engineer. I'm an actual tech geek, and I flew around the world doing security and helping companies to tighten their networks down. It was a blast. My hacking kind of led into this security position. It was fun to flip the coin, but I'll be honest, hacking back then wasn't all about destruction or causing problems. Hacking was very fun back in the 80s, and the reason was this is the first time that the large-scale public had access to supercomputing, the telephone network. So my group of hackers were called Freakers. Freakers stood for phone hack. And what we did was we actually broke into the phone network. And during AT&T's monopoly breakdown and all these MCIs and Baby Bell pop-ups, we would hack into these. I remember 950-1033, I'd type a series of numbers, and because I moved so frequently throughout my youth, my father's promotions with IBM would be a geographic relocation. I wanted to stay in touch with friends at an early age. Now, back then, calling between California and New Mexico was 40 to 50 bucks an hour. Well, not for me, it was free. And now we got Skype and things like that. But what we also did back in the 80s with these phone networks, we connected conference calls, we led virtual seminars. And it was a blast. We get a dozen hacker freakers together to talk about things. And then we took it to the next level, friends. We actually did some bad things. We broke into corporate voicemail networks, PBXs, and we would leave voicemails for our friends to tell them about technology, to inform them about different PBSs. We would leave a voicemail on a corporate mailbox and let people know that specific voice extension to play it back from. I think nowadays we call that a podcast. So this technology's been around for quite a long time. Now, back then it may have had different words and different flavors, but nothing's really changed. It's always been about the people. It's always been about the message. It's always been from the heart. This is what we're doing now. But the difference, and the reason that we're all here today is we realize this impacts not only our lives, but also our businesses better than ever. So in a quick recap, just want to take a look through. This is how I view social media over the years. 70s, we had this incredible exploration. By the 80s, people are getting more into the BBSs. 90s, we have CompuServe, Prodigy, AOL popping up. 2000, remember all the MySpaces and everything. Here we are now, the real-time blogosphere. There's a wall over here to my left that's displaying people's tweets as they fall down using that hashtag. Everything's real time. News is up to us. Things have become much more real than ever before and much more transparent. We're able to share our feelings, we're able to share how we view things, and we're able to connect with others. I'll be honest, when I kind of dove out of corporate America a couple years ago and got back into running my business again, I was a little bit scared to jump onto the whole, so I jumped right into it. My fear was being myself. Be honest with you, I set up a half a dozen accounts on Twitter when I rejoined. I should probably rewind a little bit. I joined Twitter in March of 2007. At the time, I was selling for Dell, and I love that job. Dell's a great company. I'm a shareholder. Please buy Dell. Back in 2007, though, I embraced social media to get in front of clients. I used Twitter to collaborate with my team. My manager at the time advised shutting down my Twitter account. Actually, I believe the term he used was a career-limiting move, a CLM. Now, the reason I bring this up is in no means to put down Dell, great company. It's to explain that even a very high-tech corporation did not immediately see the benefit of the transparent blogging. To them, the concern was you're always a representative of the company, and it was a complete separation between brand and individual. And I think I'm quoting David Armano when I use the term brandividual, but it fits really well. Social media for your business helps you humanize, engage, listen, promote, and sell. Let's take a step through these for a little bit because humanization is key. You need to know the people behind your brand. It's not just a machine behind your purchase. I'm going to give you a little story. I had a client who was very difficult to get in front of. I tried everything from email to telephone to, I got real creative. I sent him a remote control car in the mail. Said, hey, I actually have the remote if you give me a call. The guy did not pay any attention. I knew he was busy, and I respect that. So what I did is I Googled him, and I actually found his blog, and he was a sportsman. And I found it fascinating, these different journeys he went on. This is obviously somebody who was very busy with his career, he had a very intense level of responsibility, so he worked hard and he played hard. So I began commenting on his blog and participating and asking him what it was like to go through these adventures. In no time did I not say who I was and what my intent was, but I also really enjoyed meeting him. And it was so fun that when he took my meeting just a week later and we sat down, it wasn't a cold call. It was a couple of old friends talking. I spent 2 hours looking through photos, and I think we both forgot that we're supposed to talk about me selling him some computers. That relationship changed everything because when I took an interest in him personally, he allowed me to sell professionally. Everything's changing. Humanize, engage, listen, promote, sell. Moving to engage. It's different than ever before, and interaction with your customers is critical. We want to engage directly with businesses. We want to engage directly with our audience. I mean, perfect example. I used to really enjoy Caribou coffee, to be honest with you, but Starbucks followed me back on Twitter. I drink Starbucks now. Honestly, it is about that interaction. We all do feel good. I know it's been mentioned several times throughout today that we buy from companies we trust. We buy from people like us. We buy from companies that take an interest in who we are and what we do. This is a competitive economy right now. Everyone's watching their dollars and everyone's being real particular about how they spend. Why would you not spend with somebody you enjoy interacting with? That engagement is what gives you that connection, the relationship. Listen, who's talking about your brand? Tools all the way ranging from Google Alerts through Radian 6 and more allow you to put virtual ears on the internet. These virtual ears can come and let you know when people are talking about your brand. Maybe talking about your competitors, giving you an opportunity to perhaps swoop in and grab some new business. I love it because listening is caring. I think that listening using new tools is something that any business needs to be aware of. I was shocked to learn statistics about how many businesses are still not using brand monitoring. It's just shocking. So then we got to promote. So the internet is like a giant megaphone, but unfortunately that is not how we use that, is it? Hey, you know what? I'm going to go on social media, you guys, and you're watching me, I'm going to watch you back. This is going to be fun. So promotion is different than ever before. People want to know why to buy from you. They want to trust you. They want to understand what the point is. There is no more mass shove down on people of buy our product. Promotion's interactive. Yeah, that whole message where you retweet this. You know, that's not effective. The conversation about the product is. There's ways to effectively promote in this new media economy that just work exponentially more powerful than others. And just like any new media that comes to the forefront, it takes businesses a while to realize how to actually promote with it. But I'll tell you, selling in the new media economy effectively makes a difference between getting kicked out of someone's office or having them praise you to the entire world. It's here, it's real. Here's some statistics, and I already saw from a couple of slides earlier, these numbers are growing rapidly. There's no way to avoid this. It's part of how we conduct business. It's part of who we are as humans. Now, where are things heading now? Things have been progressing rapidly. We already talked about that. What's coming up in the future? We got some fun stuff to talk about in just a minute, but I'm seeing a lot more things heading towards geo-based. I think it's amazing that I was able to load up an application on my Pre to tell me which Twitter friends were within the immediate proximity to me. What about applications that might give me some network ideas or say, hey, this person's looking for your product or service, or hey, here's somebody here who knows somebody you need to know. It's all getting closer and closer. And social media is a lot more than just words. It adds a whole different dimension. Now we could add those photos, those videos, and really attach that sentiment. It's better than ever before, and businesses still seem very slow to adopt. Not you guys, you're here today. You realize this is something that you need to do. You've already begun doing to some extent, and it's going to continue to grow. But this adoption curve that I've seen is still this very, very slow-paced ramp-up, where companies first just dive in, almost like a fly on the wall. Let's look around, see what's going on. Then it becomes, let's shout to people a little bit, tell them what we do. But then they start interacting a little bit. It becomes two-way. It becomes something we talk about. And you have to measure and monitor it. You need to keep track of what's going on with your brand. And you've heard that over and over from every presenter here today. And the reason why we preach this so much is because it's so easy, but it's also so important. If you don't care, why would somebody want to do business with you? They wouldn't. There's so many different booby traps we need to avoid with social media. Misunderstanding, isolation, and lack of trust. How many companies are comfortable putting people out there? It seems that the small business owner, for the first time in decades, has a huge advantage over big business because you can make those choices. You could tell your employees it's okay to tweet and tell them who you work for. You could even set a policy and let your clients know this is how we prefer to communicate. There are some main necessities you need to have in social media. And without having your brand monitoring and having an actual plan, it's just not going to work. So I mentioned here about social digests, and that's referring to having reports sent to you in easy to understand ways. You don't want to have people spending hours and days and weeks digging through every social network. I remember decades back hearing about people who would clip newspaper ads about businesses. Now, it takes very little effort to put a search out on the internet that says anytime I mention or my competitors mention or something we're talking about is mentioned, to let me know. And then we get into aggregation. I like to say it's time to aggregate, not aggravate. And we'll talk a little bit about that because aggregation allows you to be everywhere at once. But before we get there, as I mentioned, I'm a PC. This one's not agreeing with me. You have to have a plan. Without having a plan, are we going to get anywhere? I mean, I had a plan on how to get to Washington. I don't think we get anywhere in business without a true plan. And with social media, it's imperative that you define this internally and externally. You don't want to just go and open a Twitter account and leave it hanging out there if you're not going to be actively using it. You don't want to have employees wondering, is it okay to speak on behalf of the company or do I have to hide? Well, things have changed quite a bit, and I've learned that it's the companies that stand up and say, this is how we like to work and this is our policy, that tend to do very well. We all get a voice. The beautiful thing about social media versus any other form of communication that I've really enjoyed is you truly get to see your words before you speak them. And you can go on TV live, you can go on to radio, you can pick up a phone, but you don't get a chance to rewind. With social, you really get a chance to think. Take advantage. There's a huge ROI with social. Besides evangelism marketing, which is essentially free, do you know any other low-cost way to get your message out there? I really don't. Here's what you came here for, the future. Yeah, that's it. It's a big road sign. In the future, social media surrounds us in everything we do. everywhere we are. Even right here today, I see all the phones and I see people looking around, tweeting, typing, Facebooking, blogging. Everything's here, and we could share everything in real time. We could share that feeling, the sentiment. We can let people know what we think and who we trust. And it's really easy to see that too. It's just an incredible new world we've entered. Social media has already given us an incredibly dynamic way to communicate our message and be ourselves, but I don't see old media just jumping by the wayside. I see it used a little bit differently. News? Well, we are the news. We are the reporters. There's collaborative ability to actually bring everything forward. And blogger news and updates we make are perceived a lot stronger than traditional media these days. Where do you guys get your news? Are you picking up a paper every morning and looking for the current thing that happened an hour ago? No, you're online. So there's a lot of trends that we need to be aware of and just be prepared for. Shopping has forever been changed. Tools that allow us to take a look and find competitors' prices when we're out shopping gives us this advantage for negotiation like we've never had. So as business owners, it's critical to be prepared for this. Make sure that you have a very high level of service that people enjoy. Make sure that you are price competitive because you also get these tools. There are new interfaces that are hitting the forefront of technology that are ubiquitous with how we work. I always enjoyed Twitter due to its ubiquitous nature. I could use it from a phone, from a computer, from anywhere. But think about taking it to the next level. Thinking about taking things to however you like to think and however you like to work. December of last year, they announced computers in Japan that are able to read your mind. Computers that can not only read your mind, but by measuring the blood flow from your brain, reproduce a graphic image from what you're seeing. Again, telepathic tweeting is not that far away. Computers can read what you're doing, and it's getting better and better each day. What is this going to do for our business? Well, maybe this allows us to have a whole new way to market because we know what customers really think and what they're looking for. Maybe it creates a whole new level of transparency and honesty than we've ever had before. I'm excited about it. It's not science fiction anymore. This is science fact. So we need to talk about the future of social media and what you guys are going to be doing with your businesses, hopefully, with some of the knowledge I'd like to share with you. By the way, I know I'm going over a lot of stuff, so I did make a website just for the speech with a whole ton of links that we're going to have available at the end of this deck. Live streaming is phenomenal. It's just absolutely incredible. This is a site that I really enjoy called Dippity. What Dippity does is it goes through my different social profiles, my Flickrs, my TwitPics, my Twitters, my Facebooks, MySpace, the QIKs, you name it. I'm on hundreds of social networks, hundreds. But if you wanted to find out about me, you did not want to go to 100 websites. Here's a neat way to take a look at my live stream, almost like a digital diary. I think it's kind of cool as this technology begins to proliferate throughout everybody's reach. And it is. This is dippity.com. This is really cool. Have you guys seen this yet? Does everyone know how to use prophylactic? Oh, it's prophylactic is another mashup tool that I really enjoy. So prophylactic allows me to go through and I can set up anything from my Amazon wish list, if anyone wants to pick up some of those books I have in there, all the way through my Twitters, Facebook, you name it. This is yesterday's stream here behind me. As I look through, it has a reverse chronological list of all my blogospheres. So if I made a video on one network or I streamed something or TwitPicked from another, you just go to this prophylactic address. It's really different, and you can control what people see. If this was a business page, my business page would be a little bit different. It would only show the business messages that we put out as Regillo. I want to show you my personal page because I thought it had a little more spice to it. I have really embraced this technology, and I know you guys have too. I'm hoping you'll take some of these addresses and try these with your personal brand and with your business. It's a lot of fun, and who here has had somebody who's just non-social believer say, I don't know where to even find you? Where do I look? Do you have one blog? Do I go to the Facebook? I don't understand. Well, something like this gives you the ability to tie it all together in one cohesive, congruent, collaborative, communicative space. See, I actually need more C words. So the whole message I want to leave you guys with about that is aggregate, don't aggravate. So over here is that prophylactic, and to the side here is ping.fm. And Jeff spoke about OpenWire. There's other tools like hellotext.com. What these tools allow you to do, so the one here is called a mashup. A mashup takes all your feeds and puts them in a central place. You can even get a nice little badge widget to put on your site, or just direct people to that URL. On the other side is a tool that allows you to take your message, your tweet, your picture, and proliferate it throughout the social sphere. It makes things a lot easier for a business that wants to be everywhere at once. And why would you want to be everywhere at once? Why do I need to be on this Ning network? And why should my corporation have a MySpace presence? Are people using that actively for business? They might be. Isn't it important to connect with people where they want to connect? These tools let us do that. It's about efficiency. It's about connecting. So if you want to be ready for the future, and the future is definitely going to be much more about live streaming than it ever has been. People want to know what you're up to. People want to know who you are. You need to be ready, and you need to be responsible. But for those who are just a little bit unclear on how to get into it, well, I got a fun suggestion. Repurpose. If you don't know what to say on your fan page or on your Twitter account or on your new blog, maybe take a look at what you've said in the past. Things that your marketing department felt okay with, things you felt really echoed your message clearly. And use these over and over. They fit. Nothing is too difficult to communicate with new media. It makes everything a lot easier. I know it gets confusing. It certainly does. There's so much out there for the business owner to worry about. Am I looking at search engine optimization? Do I need to take a look at all these analytics and metrics? And wow, there's this whole sea of awesome new tools. Where do I begin? Just keep it real. Be yourself, be your brand, and it makes it a lot easier. It comes back to defining those rules for what's okay within your business and what's okay with how you communicate with your clients. It's dynamic, and it's here. Again, social media for your business allows you to what? Humanize, engage, listen, promote, and sell. And that's something that all businesses need to do. By the way, that manager at Dell who told me about that career-limiting move, he reached out to me recently. He got in touch, and he said, Darren, I want to talk to you about Twitter. And he really opened his mind up and said, Darren, this is the new telephone. This is a tool that I need for business. This is the way that we can get a message across to the masses. Now he's just looking at this as the salesman tool. You wouldn't think about going into sales without tools such as a smartphone for email or making telephone calls, and nowadays could even think about not having a fan page or a blog or a Twitter presence. I guess you could think that way if you don't want to succeed. But all of us want to succeed. All of us want to feel. All of us want to connect. And all of us like to relate. Beautiful smiling faces, interacting, and I absolutely love this. I have so much fun with it, and that's the whole key, and I think that's why success has been finding itself to me, because I'm following my dream, and that's what you guys are doing too, is following your dreams. As business owners, we're all dreamers. Dreamers with a destiny. And now we got a real way to make this thing happen. So let's take this Play-Doh and build it into the success blocks of our future, friends. It's here, it's now, and please reach out. I love talking about this stuff. Thank you. Thank you.
Enough, I think my first exchange with Darren on Twitter was about a Passover meal or something, a matzah or something he was having, and I told him I'd been to a Seder before, and it was just that connection. You guys, there's some funny stories, would love to tell you more about them, and just meeting Darren and some other things. It's just fascinating to me how this works.